Hello, everyone. Welcome to an awesome day of FileMaker training. I'm Richard Carlton, creator of FMTraining.tv, where every day at this time slot, we are excited to be learning about the Claris FileMaker platform and all its various products and pieces. And it's always a learning process. We're always learning something new because the technology continues to change and get better. If you go to FMTraining.tv, you can see the upcoming broadcast schedule. You scroll down, you can see that we are actually at Claris headquarters today, which is about once a week they let me in the building. Today is exciting because we're going to be talking about the Claris FileMaker Cloud product with Sangita, Banerjee, and we're going to do that momentarily. Tomorrow is going to be another Claris person, two Claris people back to back. Tomorrow is going to be Rosemary TG, and she's going to be covering the whole conversation once again from the Claris perspective of upgrading what I would consider legacy versions of FileMaker platform. It's a continuing problem. It's an important thing to think about and be aware of. Today we have some prototype stuff for you to potentially like talk about and think about, and if you want to upvote that or you have questions. So today is I need your feedback, or correction, Claris needs your feedback. I'm just here kind of moderating the conversation a little bit. So that is what is going on. So what I'm going to do is we're going to quit sharing here, and we're going to switch over to Sangita. So Sangita is the product manager for currently the Claris Cloud product. So I think the first question is, what is Claris Cloud? Because even FileMaker or Margaret was not sure what that was, right? So Sangita, hello, how are you?
Hi. Hi, everyone.
There she is. This is her. She's a product manager. Now, Sangita has an interesting history. She was an acquisition back in the day from Stamplay when Claris acquired that company, right? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
And so she's very passionate about the products, including Connect. It's nice to see people who are really passionate about a product. And I was like, why are you so passionate about Connect? And she's like, that's because that was, my product from back in the day, right? Yep.
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to work both on Connect as well as Cloud. So yeah, I'm very passionate and looking forward to, presenting today.
All right, great.
Get some of your feedback.
Excellent. We're going to need feedback. I guess the question up front is, what is FileMaker Cloud, right? FileMaker Cloud, what is that? How do we describe that?
Yeah. So let's get started. So what is FileMaker Cloud? So FileMaker Cloud is the cloud hosting service offering directly from Claris, meaning that Claris FileMaker Cloud eliminates your need to manage your server, hardware, software, and a network. Claris does the heavy lifting for you. We bring up the instance, and our infrastructure is built on top of AWS. So you can access your custom apps in the cloud, FileMaker Cloud, using FileMaker Pro, WebDirect, and FileMaker Go. And you can also have access to your custom apps from any device, anytime, anywhere.
All right, so Margaret, test question. What is Claris FileMaker Cloud in your own words? In your own words.
FileMaker server, except Claris runs it for you.
Yes.
Basically, yes. And they run it on Amazon AWS, which is awesome because it's what we use generally anyway. And so they bundle the software, the FileMaker server software, and it's an enhanced. It has some kind of customizations to it, and she's going to talk about this a little bit. But then they bundle it with the hardware, so you just pay one price, and it's all kind of covered. If that makes sense, it's kind of neat. All right, well, let's keep going. Margaret passed the test. Good job.
Well, speaking about FileMaker Cloud, so what are the benefits or what's the value of cloud? So now the first one being the hassle-free maintenance. As we talked earlier, you don't need any hardware or software installation. Server maintenance, upgrades, and automatic backups are all included. Now with long-term return on investment, you can save money year over year since cost for server licensing and on-prem hosting goes away. Next, you are ready, set, and done in no time. Your instance is up and running even before you know it. So we'll see, once you purchase your license, you receive invitation to set up your Claris ID, and as a team manager, you will upload your solution and you're ready to go and collaborate with your team members. So you can share apps with your remote teams, virtual teams, and get access from anywhere based on the data regions that I'm going to talk about shortly. We also support enterprise grade, we provide enterprise grade security and 24/7 support to protect your infrastructure and data. We also have a unified web console to manage your team's accounts, groups, and subscriptions. This allows access, it also allows the access and share multiple apps through the cloud administration console that you can go into through the single sign-on. And with cloud, you receive your latest technologies, so you're always current with the latest version. So you don't have to worry about upgrades. We keep you up to date with the latest version. We apply the patches on a daily basis if the daily auto maintenance is on, as well as or through the weekly auto maintenance, and we'll talk more in a bit. And you always stay current. We also have global data regions leveraging AWS data centers, and our customers are mapped to the closest AWS data center available, which enhances speed and performance.
So Sangita is still getting comfortable with everyone here. I told her we don't bite except for David Angel bites, and it's sometimes the sassiness comes up. Can I use my domain? That Canberra asked, so once again, conversationally, he asked, can I use my own domain name, right?
Custom domain name, no.
Custom domain name, no. What normally works, and I'm not showing my screen, but you can have the first part of a domain. It's like I have one right now that says live stream demo, and then it's .claris cloud or Claris whatever it is .com or something. So the word Claris is in the domain, but you could have like David Angel's Acme widgets. .claris. Whatever. Yeah. Yes. So that's it. And so this dives into the region conversation right here. And a region, for lack of a better word, is just kind of consider it. It's kind of complicated the way AWS does it, but they consider it a data center, right? And it's really, Amazon is so redundant. It's actually 3 or 4 data centers, and they are in undisclosed locations, right? So their Amazon data centers are all over the place when you drive around, but they don't say Amazon data center because they don't want to say, hey, terrorists, would you like to blow this building up, right? So they're kind of unmarked, but there's 2 or 3 of them or whatever within a couple blocks, whatever it is, how the size of that. And so there's one couple in the U.S. West Coast, East Coast, Tokyo, Sydney. These are some of the ones, but I think you have a new one coming, right?
Yeah, we are working on, we'll bring one up on Canada. And yeah, and this also allures to some of the, the privacy concern, data concerns they have. It's similar to GDPR, and where there are some areas where there's some of the private organizations, they want the data to be residing in Canada. And so we are going to bring up one of the Canadian data centers soon.
Yeah, that's perfect. The whole conversation with the Canadian data center, the GDPR, for those of you in the United States, if you're in Europe or you pay attention, just like some of you can't bear and whatnot, big security people, but there's legal regulatory things in Europe about where the data actually lives, like where it's saved on the hard drive per se. Next, so we talked about data centers, licensing. Okay, yeah, the great question. How much does it cost?
So with what you have for the licensing is you have 2 options based on your size of the team. Say, for example, you have 1 to 5 users. You can choose Essentials, which starts at $21 per user per month. Now, now in cloud, it's all user-based, name-based model. So you can start, as I said, you can start at the Essentials based on the number of users you have. And what you get in here is the storage for 2 GB of FileMaker data storage per user per year. But if you have greater than 5 users, or if you want a larger instance, for example, Essentials, as I stated earlier, we leverage the AWS infrastructure. So Essentials start at a large instance. Now, if you want to have a bigger instance, you can move to standard, even if you have 5 users. So you can move to standard, and standard goes from all the way from 5 users all the way up to 150 users. Now, this is one of the enhancement we did. Earlier, it used to support up to 100 users. Now it supports up to 150 users.
Very exciting. All right, so that's good. So I know that the Essentials is popular with people who have a smaller group, and they also maybe don't have IT support. I mean, I think that becomes one of the deciding factors with the deciding to go with FileMaker Cloud as opposed to rolling your own server. So Claris calls these two things. One is that you'll hear the term on-prem. And that is, in a lot of ways, kind of a misleading word, but it's what Claris uses for that. And that is the regular FileMaker server. It's not necessarily installed on premise in your office, although frequently that's the case. You can also put it somewhere else. So that's the software product, the normal one that we talk about. Then you have the cloud one, which is where Claris Software as a Service, the SaaS model, David Angel was pointing that out. Yeah, that's the official acronym for that. And they kind of abstract, so it simplifies your life. If you don't have the technical people to do the installation of the FileMaker server, you don't want to be hassled with that. You don't want to have to worry about Amazon, etc. There's a lot of reasons maybe to use the Claris FileMaker Cloud product.
Yeah, and so you can save on your capital expenditure and rein on the operational cost.
Yep. Okay. All right, cool.
And with so one other thing to add here is for the standard, you see the price is $43 per user per month, and this is all billed annually. But we are running a promotional price at $28 per user per month. And if you're interested, please reach out to our sales team.
Good idea. That's a pretty good discount. All right, great. We have a question.
What happens if I stop paying? Is my database deleted?
No. So if once your license expires, your database is still hold for 45 days, after which, so you still have the time to renew it and come back or download your database within that 45 days. You still have access.
Yeah, exactly. So the other part of this is, and maybe was implied in the question, is that you pay for this annually. So Claris doesn't bill you per day or per week or per month. It's really annually. So if you pay for the year, or say you buy a couple of years or whatever you do on a deal, and then if you don't pay, then it shuts down, but it's still accessible 45 days. Then after 45 days,
Your
you
data
hear a
is
popping
dead.
sound, it's going to go bye-bye. So
Yes.
the idea is for you to do that. There's another question we have. What if I need more space? Say I have a lot of containers. I need more than the minimum 2 gigs or 6 gigs. What if I need 30 or 40 gigabytes of space? How do we handle that?
You can buy more storage on the standard tier, but you can't buy storage on the essentials.
Yeah,
We do not know upgrades on the essentials.
Yeah, so on the essentials, everyone, it's kind of I don't want to say a loss leader, but it's the lowest cost entry point for people who need a basic setup. As soon as you want a more custom, powerful machine on Amazon, more users, more whatever,
More power,
more storage,
more compute, you can definitely go to the standard. And if you go to claris.com pricing page, you will see all the different options that are coming with the standard.
All right, so I got your first tough question that's going to pop out here. Some of you saw me grimacing here. I could see the question coming. All right, so no pressure, Sangita. All right, so what if I'm a group of one person? Can I get a single user license for cloud?
No, your minimum is 5 user license.
Now, I've heard rumors that you folks were toying with less than that, right? For some things, right? There was experiment, still kind of running.
There were some experiments, but no, for now, we have a minimum of 5 user license purchase.
So again, Gadidi, I understand that question. If you're really one person and you're doing development, for you, maybe the FileMaker developer subscription might be the best thing for you. It's inexpensive, but it's not a cloud-based solution.
But if you really want to try out cloud, we do have a trial. Please reach out and you can get a trial license for, a month, 45 days to try out the cloud.
Okay, great. Awesome. All right.
We have another question if we're
Another
good.
question. Go for another question.
Since we have to pay for Pro separately from Cloud and Cloud automatically updates, I assume, what happens if I don't update Pro but Cloud keeps updating?
So it's like we go back to last year, we're using FileMaker 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, the cloud server, the one that you're running, will update itself, right? So what if you had FileMaker Pro 20 running, but then Cloud updates itself to Cloud 21, which I think the current version now is Cloud 21, right?
The Cloud 21, yes. Yep. We support up to actually one version earlier.
Yep.
So
officially.
Officially, that's what we support up to. So I might want to get back to you on this, but note that your Pro or when you are on cloud, you are always on the latest version.
Yes. So if you have really old hardware, right, and you want to stay on really old hardware, then you're eventually going to run into problems with this because you'll be, you'll be on, say you're on FileMaker Pro 20 from last year, and then we warp a couple years in the future, and we have FileMaker. This year's 21, next year's 22, and then 23, whatever. I'm assuming that's what they'll name it. Sooner or later, you're not going to be able to have that conversation. All right, cool. Other question, Margaret?
No, we're good to go. You can keep going now.
All right, so let's talk about security. And this is really a good one. In fact, I would just simply say that the first item there on that security, that's what you have to know, and the rest of it's kind of like, to me, like, right? But the first one's the big one.
Yeah. So as you know, we are part of Apple. So being part of Apple, security and privacy have always been our topmost priority. So as you may already know, the threat landscape is constantly evolving, and some of the concerns that we have are their phishing, malware, ransomware, internal threats, etc. But we have large security teams like DevOps teams, security teams, and both Claris and Apple work together to support the data network infrastructure applications. So we have system hardening and web application firewall. We have enterprise grade security supporting the industry standard security features. For example, data encryptions both at rest with AES 256-bit encryption. We leverage the AWS key management system, and in transit we have our own SSL certificate. So this is another difference. Like if you were on-prem, either you can use Let's Encrypt or bring your own SSL cert. In cloud, you do not have to worry. We take care of that. As well as we run TLS 1.3 and support multi-factor authentication.
Yeah, no, it's pretty slick. The abstracting the SSL away, to me, is one of the nicer things about it, because I always hate setting up the SSL. I always have to call my server guy, Jacob, Jacob, intermediate certificate and a private key and a public key, and it's like they take care of it, which is one of the great things with this. So, yeah.
So the next thing is compliance, and Claris really shows our ongoing commitment to maintaining rigorous security controls for managing our customers' data through independent attestation and certification. What that means is we have achieved SOC 2 Type 2 reports for Claris FileMaker Cloud, and that covers internal controls related to security, availability, and confidentiality of customer data. SOC 2 Type 2 meaning systems and organizations control. Now, this is an attestation report. Claris and Apple have engaged with external auditors to test the FileMaker Cloud. And you can really ask for the report by submitting a request to Claris Legal. This report talks about all the security controls that we have in place, and this is not a one-time report. We go through this on a yearly basis, and how Claris and Apple are working together in securing the data network and infrastructure. Plus, we also have ISO standard certification under Apple's umbrella. That is ISO 27001 for information security management, and also for privacy, ISO 27018. So with that, we also support external authentication, Okta, and Microsoft AD. So we have all these security controls in place to support, to protect your data.
Yeah, so once again, there's a part of the conversation. A lot of that is, a lot of it's technical jargon. Margaret, some of the newer people are like, I can see the technical jargon over your head. The short version is, you don't have to worry about the SSL. B, it's Apple, and Apple is super. I mean, there's even commercials Apple's running about privacy and security and stuff. So Apple is heavily invested in making sure that Claris follows along with what they're doing, right? So I have a high degree of confidence in just the fact that Apple is going to keep an eye to make sure that Claris is doing what they need to do. If it was some other company, I'd be concerned. But with Apple being the way Apple is, and we hear stories about it like, hey, we're ready to ship a new version. Oh, it's been delayed a little bit because the security is going through the check for stuff. That's always a major part of every release. I think it's important.
And the other thing is when the data is on cloud, it's just not us testing, but we are engaging with external auditors like KPMG, Ernst & Young. They come and audit our network infrastructure to make sure all the security controls are in place, and that's how we get a clean report of the SOC 2 Type 2.
Perfect.
And SOC 2 Type 2 and ISO certifications, these are only applicable to cloud service providers.
Okay, cool.
So some of the recent updates that I want to share on the cloud that we had was the backups and auto maintenance enhancement. And we have the Cloud 2.21 release, which is more of the feature parity with the FileMaker 2024, and with having also the AI in it, AI features enabled. And also we switched to ARM-based processor, which gives you some performance boost for your application based on what kind of applications you're running.
All right, excellent. So we're going to start with what, backups and auto maintenance. Let me see. Some of this people don't know at all, right, Sangita? They don't understand. So let me tee this up. I'm going to tee this up for you a moment. So because it's software as a service, when you get your own FileMaker Cloud, I'm going to call it a server cloud. It's this product with the software service. It's pre-configured to run backups for you. Is it still every 20 minutes?
Yes. So if think of your on-prem, right? You have to in on-prem, you have to take care of your backups and then restoring those backups. On cloud, we take care of that. We do the heavy lifting by doing every 20 minutes automatic backups on the cloud, and you can restore any of the backups you need, and they're all listed by the timestamp and the file names, and these backups are all incremental backups that are done for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. So if you want to jump to the next slide, because I want to just make sure that people don't get lost here. So yeah, so this is a new feature right here. It's something that frankly I have filed a formal complaint with Claris management. We need this in FileMaker Server, but for the moment it's only in FileMaker Cloud, and that's the ability for directly through the web interface, the administrative interface, the browser interface, to download a backup of your database, right?
Exactly. So you can directly download your backups without having, so earlier you had to restore it before you can download the backups. The enhancement we did was you can now directly download it without having to restore it. That saves time for the administrators. Now when restoring a backup file, it allows the file-based backup list, which could be your hosted file or deleted file, to be filtered by file name or partial file name, so it becomes easy for you to look for the files.
We do have a quick question. Someone's asking, how are crashed files handled? Like if it crashes, does Claris restore the crashed file, or do they just like start it up? Do you guys replace it for us?
Yeah, so because we are doing every 20 minutes backup, we have a way to restore the file. It's just that you might lose that 20 minutes, but we are constantly doing the 20 minutes automatic backup, and so we have a way to restore it.
So the answer is what she just said. I'm going to say it a different way. She's saying that if it were to crash, which then Claris would engage and take care of that, they're going to roll to the last backup is what they're going to do on that within the last 20 minutes. So then we have customization of backup settings. Let's talk about this a little bit.
Okay, so what we have done is we are now going to allow users to have more control on the backup settings, so you can configure it, tailor it to your requirements. What it means is the deleted database retention policy. So you have more control on the deleted database retention policy, which is stored by default for 7 days before automatic deletion begins. Now the allowable range is 1 to 15 days. Similarly, for backups retention policy, it's stored by default for 30 days before automatic deletion starts, and the range is between 1 and 30. Now, this is really helpful when you have large files and you can control, and free up the space and then you can see performance boost, especially when you are uploading files.
Okay, great.
So the next one is the download unencrypted backups. Now, uploading an unencrypted Claris Claris FileMaker file, allows you now results in the automatic encryption by the cloud. So FileMaker Cloud takes care of automatic encryption, and you can also download these files without having to enter the encryption password for local access.
All right, so test question time, Margaret. You ready for your test question? So if Claris says on a test or in their documentation, database encryption, what are they referring to, and what's the acronym for that?
EAR. I don't actually know what EAR stands for off the top of my head.
Encryption
At rest.
Yeah, encryption at rest. Right. Now, Claris in their documentation will never say EAR. They always say database encryption. The technical part of this is that the encryption EAR is optional when you're running your own FileMaker server, but because this is technically an Apple server with Apple level security, you running around, it's like being in a starship in Star Trek. Running around with the shields down is not permissible. Shields must always be up all the time, even if you're having a picnic and you don't care. So EAR is always on with FileMaker Cloud, okay? And so then when you upload a file to them, if it's not encrypted, it will encrypt for you automatically. And then they're also talking about you being able to download the file without putting that encryption password in.
Yes. Yes, and as I said earlier, since we leverage AWS infrastructure, we leverage all the security services that AWS provides with encryption at rest, as well as AWS key management system.
Very, very cool. All right.
The one last thing that I want to talk about here is the on-demand backup. Now, as we talked earlier about the automatic backup that we do, which is every 20 minutes, we have the incremental backups. Now we have an option, if you look here, is a backup now, which basically is your on-demand backup that can manually, when you click this, it manually triggers a backup on demand. And what it does is, the cooldown period of this is half of your automatic backup, which is 10 minutes. Now in the backup message center, you can view all the real-time status updates on the backup restoration task. Now this ensures that the restoration and direct download task for backup are centralized and visible to user, allowing them to A, monitor progress, B, distinguish between tasks, C, download database files when preparation is complete, and retry tasks if they fail. So it shows success and failure, zipping, all those different tasks like downloading backup, starting the process, downloading the database, downloading the remote containers, zipping the files together, success or failure. So all these status will be shown in this message center.
Okay.
And this is really helpful when you have large files.
Having an interactive progress bar, a functional progress bar, letting you know what's going on is always a valuable thing. One of those things I'm glad they do it is like, hey, why didn't we have that before, right? So, but yeah, that's an important one to have. Before we get into this, let me tee this one up for you. So let me help with this one a little bit. All right, so auto maintenance. So FileMaker server doesn't have an equivalent for this, but for FileMaker Cloud, back in the day, and I remember working with Rick and Anad and some other people who were part of the original team that put the original product together, Claris wanted to have the server do maintenance at night. And essentially what the server wanted to do was do an auto restart at night. And what it would do is it would wait until everyone had logged off the server, and then it would do a restart of the server just in general principle, because they were chasing, all the little bugs and memory leaks, a brand new product, get a restart, and also run updates to any software along the way, right? It's kind of been that way for a long time. Back in the day, they called it an auto robot. Now I think they call it auto maintenance. But it ran into some issues because it would not run if anyone was logged in. And I can tell you for me personally, when I'm done at the end of the day on my desktop computer, my computer continues to run. I sleep my screen, right? And I walk off and it's still logged into the database. And so if I was using cloud continuously, I would never log off. So then the auto maintenance would never run on my cloud server. Mm-hmm. So that's changed a little bit now with this latest release.
Yes. So now what we have is, as you mentioned, daily auto maintenance may not run if the clients are connected. Now what we have right now is the new weekly auto maintenance, which ensures best practice in regards to security, performance, and reliability. Now what it does is once you select the window for the weekly auto maintenance, it will make sure that your clients are disconnected and your auto maintenance gets kicked in, because this is really important for FileMaker Cloud updates, security updates, operating system software updates, and any updates for, performance.
So yeah, so that's the whole idea with that. So all right, so then with this FileMaker Cloud 2.21, so there's our matching number there. Okay, yeah, go ahead with this.
Yeah, so all I want to mention here is with the FileMaker 2.21.0, you have the feature parity with FileMaker 2024, which means you have now AI available also on cloud while hosting more securely and with less hassle.
Perfect. Yeah. So the idea is that it's 21. So whenever versions come out, you get the Mac and Windows Pro, you get the matching server generally. Go generally is pretty close by. Then a little bit of a delay, or however long that is, a month or two or whatever, and you get the FileMaker Cloud update. So now so it was June 4th we released FileMaker, the last major version, June 4th. So today is August. So that's been about 60 days or so. So there we go. Cool.
There are a couple of items that we are working on, which are in the backlog and has been prioritized. The number one being the allow list, which is more for IP filtering. And what it does is it gives you more security. So what the user or the team manager can do actually is specify a IP range or a list of static IP address in the admin console, and then the server will allow access to the client based on those IP addresses, which means if it's not part of the IP addresses, the users cannot access the application.
Yeah, so it's essentially a white list or allow list, which makes sense. Cool. Next one is HTTPS tunneling. Margaret, do you remember what this is? Because we talked about this before in a live stream. Do you remember what that is?
We do, but I don't remember. So.
Okay, so real quick, the tunneling is where the traffic from FileMaker doesn't run through port 5003, which is kind of historical, the port. It is all pushed through normal browser traffic. Most people think of port, 80 and 443. 443 is the encrypted port. So that way the FileMaker traffic looks like browser traffic, which means your IT organizations will freak out less because they already, most organizations already expect it. You have a browser and people are doing, you're going to log into your bank or something, you want encrypted data. So yeah.
So once you have that HTTPS tunneling enabled, you go and restart your server, and then it will go through the port 443. Although you have the 5003, you can enable it, but the traffic will be going through 443.
Cool. All right, and then the next on the backlog is MultiUser Invite.
Yes. So for the multi-user invite, this is mostly, this benefits basically when you have a large teams and large number of users. And currently to send invitation to cloud, you have to send them one at a time. With the multi-user invite, you can do a bulk invitation. And how this is going to work is, as you can see, there is a download sample CSV file. Once you click on the download sample CSV file, you're going to put in all the names of your FileMaker users that you want to invite them, and there are some flags there whether you want to have a licensed user or not licensed user. And then once you do that, you click on the import from CSV, which will import that file. But when it does the import, it is going to do a validation check of whether you have enough licenses to import those users.
Okay.
If they are marked license.
Yep.
So it will do that validation check, and then you will see automatically the rows got created for all the users, and you just send them the invitation.
Yeah, it's a bulk invite, which is great if you have more than, say, 10 or 15 people. Who wants to type all that in? That's a giant pain. So that's a welcome feature. That's coming up soon. All right.
And this also currently it works for the FileMaker users, and going down it will also work for the external users.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so now this is an area now, let me tee this up. So this is where Claris, and we're starting to do some of the live streams where Claris says, well, what if we were going to do something? and I know this is going to happen with Connect as well, and also with Studio, where the PMs are going to come in here and they're saying, what if we created a time warp thingy that does a burn and a McThingy and then does a thing and then does this other thing? What do you think about that? That's where you people there on the internet, all the valued live stream viewers here, let us know what you think about these items. I need up votes, down votes, happy faces. What do you think? So idea of validation number one.
So for this one, what we are thinking about is, what if you are running today, you're on-prem and you are doing your own backup, and we the cloud service provider, we are already doing for our cloud customers, we are doing incremental backups, we have all the syncing data backups are all in place. What if we were to offer offsite backup, which is the cloud backup services for on-prem customers? What it means is, from the experience side, if I have backup options in the admin console that lets you select, say for example, backup my files and restore services to S3 and also Dropbox. So all you do is you have checkboxes and we'll take care of the backup services.
So the idea, once again, so those of you, everyone out there, so if you have FileMaker server, regular, the on-prem server, this is an idea. I know we're talking about cloud today, but what if you had an option to check, and I'm sure they're going to use Connect or something here, somehow that kind of interacts with that. It rolls its own offsite backup, and that is a huge one to protect against ransomware, because the ransomware people can only get away with ransomware if they can lock down all your backups. But if you burn one off to another location and they can't encrypt it or hijack it or steal it or delete it, then they really can't get you to pay them, right? So David Angel says, yeah, that's good. It should be available on Prem too. Yes, that we're talking. So yes. She has taken off her hat and she's put on the, what's the name of our PM for on-prem server?
Douglas?
Wallace, right? So she's channeling Douglas from the UK right now. He's the PM for regular FileMaker server. So yeah, it's having an offsite backup is useful.
And that, since we are already leveraging the AWS services, we are already doing it for our cloud customers. So we are thinking of how can we do this, offering to our on-prem customers.
Yeah, I'm getting upvotes here. People are liking the idea. I mean, to me, it's a low-hanging fruit one. Can we have this tomorrow? Like right away. We want this as soon as possible. All right.
The next one. This is more about the Claris platform. And as we are working, towards a Claris platform, we are thinking of how can we enable a feature where it allows more close integration between FileMaker and Connect. So if you're already using FileMaker, you're already using Connect, we are thinking about what if we allow you to integrate with connectors directly from FileMaker script engine, which is basically it will create flows dynamically, and then you can go inside and then it will give you back the JSON, and you can do your own logic handling inside FileMaker. And then if you want more, you can go inside Connect and then extend your flows there.
All right.
Okay,
So
I have a question before you even start.
Okay.
So in the script workspace, I could type there's a script in script workspace that says export to PDF. And you just click it, you set up your little configuration inside the script workspace, and it craps out a PDF for you, which is awesome. So I could do what? Export to Dropbox as like a script step? That would be cool.
Okay, so this is bigger than that. So I've been wrestling with, this is once again, so Sangita here. So this is Sangita. She's asking questions on behalf of other product managers. So this is more of a Edward kind of conversation, who'll be here in about a week. And we are going to be scheduling some training on Connect finally. And so that's a big deal in and of itself. What you're talking about, like having Connect and moving things with Dropbox, things like that, is some low-hanging fruit. However, just conceptually, just so you folks understand this, you're in FileMaker Pro, you build FileMaker solutions, fine. When you build the API workflow, you do it in the Connect web interface, which is different. It looks very different. What Claris is saying is that instead of necessarily doing it that way, you could dynamically, through the script workspace, which we're already familiar with, set up the flow, interact dynamically with the flow and call the flow. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, so today, if you know, you can select the flows because we have that within the script engine. We have done that, but this goes a step beyond that. So what it does is, as you mentioned, you do not have to go to connect to create the flow. All you do is say you have these connectors or custom connectors. You can directly integrate with those connectors, and the flow will get created automatically behind the scene.
No, this is really cool because I mean, because me and Richard tried messing with Connect, and I think we must have spun our way around in circles about 5 times and then collapsed flat in our faces because neither of us work with JSON very well. But I've worked with Script Workspace since I was a child, so I'm very familiar with how that entire setup works. So that's really, people are saying it's awesome. People, yeah, P-Brain Pre. Now we're talking. I really love the idea, but since you're here, I would like to request that you guys consider adding more connectors for Connect or more connectors from Connect.
I did hit this on them on that we need to build ability to build a flow and then be able to somehow take the flow and turn it into an artifact. Once again, this is part of the conversation with Studio, which is if I build something in Studio and I want to take it anywhere, I have to rebuild it. So if I built a CRM in Studio and I wanted to give it all to you, every time I gave it to someone, I'd have to rebuild it from scratch, which is a absolute non-starter. So we have to have a way of packaging it and distributing it, not even charging money for it, just a way of, like an FMP12 file, right? We have this artifact, this thing. It's a physical thing, right? And I can make a zip out of it and then have everyone download it and they get a copy of my hard work. I need that with Connect and also with Studio. So
Ultra Golden is saying yes, yes, yes. I really love the idea of tight integration between FileMaker and Connect. So
that's awesome to hear. And you know, as we are talking about the platform, so we are thinking of how we can give you that tighter integration. This helps with also obviously looking into Connect, but of course the user experience we are still working on that, and then thinking about how everything can help you, as well as once you have that flow dynamically created, you can go inside Connect and then extend it and do integrate with other connectors. And going back to the request for the connectors, we do have a published backlog that talks about what are the connectors that are coming up. You can always do upvotes, but also you can send us your request if you have any. And if you're aware of custom connectors, then you know that if there are some actions that are not available with the regular connectors, you can definitely create your own custom connector and extend those connectors.
Perfect. Yeah, it's all good news. Very, very exciting. Because now, for me, just Connect in the last week started working in a way that I could kind of use it, and it kept working, and it didn't have the bugs in it that drive me nuts. So now I'm starting to use it, and then it's like, oh, I want more and more and more and more. So when I get excited about it, it's kind of like an indicator that other developers will get excited about it as well. These idea validation, just give you an idea. These are ideas that Claris has that are, I think it's beyond the idea stage. They're probably busy prototyping it and stuff.
We need the thumbs up and the votes from you to know that we are doing the right thing.
Yeah, she wants to know that you folks like this. So we need thumbs up or thumbs down, right?
We have a question which is unrelated to the validation conversation, but I'm going to pop and ask it. About cloud. Gajermund Thorson, I'm very sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly. I run FileMaker server in Kubernetes. How does FileMaker Cloud compare to this? Is that a place? Is that like a place in the Netherlands, maybe?
Copy and paste that marker for me into Discord so I can see the question.
Oh no, this is a software thing. Kubernetes is like an online software running service, it looks like. So he's kind of made his own cloud, I guess. Is he saying that?
Yeah, I don't have familiarity with that.
So this is one of the services that he's talking about. So do you have your own cloud and you want to move to our cloud?
Yeah, he has his own server running on it, and then he's wondering if he should move to cloud, basically.
Yes, because all the services that and again, please send me your details and we can take this offline. But one of the things I would definitely say that if you we are already investing in the infrastructure and multiple services from the AWS, and we have a huge team. So it would be better if you don't want to run your own IT teams and rather focus on the application side. So we can definitely do that for you, and it makes sense to move to FileMaker Cloud. But we need to look into the specifics. So I would encourage you to send me an email.
How do they send you an email?
Sangita_Banerjee at Claris.com.
Do we have more stuff? Because I want to show this briefly.
That's all.
Okay, that's all you have. So let me.
But I would definitely encourage to evaluate the FileMaker Cloud, as if you do not want to run your own IT, if you do not want to, you can scale with the options we have, and you can do not worry about the hassle-free maintenance. That's all about FileMaker Cloud.
All righty, so I'm going to log in here real quick to this is a cloud server, so some of you will recognize this here. Everyone here who's seen this before, this should be familiar to you. This is typically the FileMaker Server Administrative Console. It says FileMaker Cloud here because once again it is FileMaker Server, mostly, with minor variations in it. And so you recognize this, you recognize the databases. I'm running a copy of Starting Point. The backups here is structured a little differently because of the way they set it up, but this is it. So if you run FileMaker Server, the interface here is very, very similar. You can drop into FileMaker here, and I'm logged into it, so it's pretty straightforward. The trick is before your users are actually accessing it, they're going to go in here and they're going to sign in to Claris ID, right? So it's a deal where if you're kind of a small organization in that you have 5 people and they all are using the same username and password, it's a deal where you're going to have everyone has to have their own username and password. User. Yeah, it's kind of a big one, and that's how they differentiate everyone, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's why we have user-based license on cloud. And also one of the other things again is besides FileMaker ID, Claris ID, we also support the external authentication, which is Okta and the Microsoft Azure AD. But you need the Claris ID for the licensing and subscription purpose. And here, as Richard is showing you, there are basically access to the 2 consoles. One is the Claris Customer Console that handles all your accounts, groups, hosts, settings, and from here with the single sign-on you can go into the FileMaker admin console where you share and download your apps and databases, manage databases, and you do the monitoring of your FileMaker Cloud.
Yeah, so the customer console is one that most of us don't see that often, although if you're going to start working with Connect in Studio, you'll recognize it. If you hit hosts, once again, that's another word for servers, 1 or more servers. You come over here, it shows you I have 1 running right now. If I go to host, I can say fire up the administrative console. This is when it says restart the instance, that says restart the server. So that's what that is. But recognize this should be familiar to most of us here. So questions at all from anyone? Because it's pretty straightforward. You have a choice. You really have a choice of how this is how you're going to deploy your FileMaker solution. Either you're going to use FileMaker Server, kind of the on-prem one, whether it's on-prem or you put it in a data center as your Microsoft or Google or wherever you're going to put the Amazon, what I use, or you actually have Claris do all the hard work for you. The cost actually pretty comparable, especially with the Essentials package and that discount they have where they have the $28. That's a pretty compelling price point right there. So. But they abstract, they take care of the SSL for you, they take care of the security concerns for you. Once again, as a reminder for some of you who missed the conversation from a little bit earlier, there was kind of a critical Microsoft thing that went out on Tuesday for Windows servers. You need to run updates on your Windows server, especially if it's set up to use IPv6, right? There's a serious vulnerability in there that everyone's kind of should be running through your servers to make sure that's not a problem for you, but something that if you're using Claris FileMaker Cloud, Claris does it for you automatically, and specifically those instances I think are Linux, but if there was a security issue, that would be something that would get picked up on your nightly maintenance, right? So when the maintenance runs up at night, it gets picked up automatically there. So any other
We haven't, just to add to that, we have the incident management, vulnerability management, and we are constantly checking the network or any other security issues. And as you said, we run on Linux and with the latest Ubuntu 22. But if there is any security issues, we apply the patch for the maintenance.
All right, so I got 2 questions down here. Is there a reasonable on-prem versus cloud feature comparison? Mostly what it is that you have to look at it. For example, if you have things that will snag you on the cloud, server-side plugin, right?
Yeah.
Apple doesn't want someone installing plugins on their server. It's your server, but it's their babysitting it, and they're kind of responsible for it. So they don't. If you have a server-side plugin, that's no bueno. The DAPI, setting up DAPI is a giant pain in the rear end. At least from our perspective, it's been hard. But if you're using Go, Pro, WebDirect, and you're living within those core clients, then this will run just fine for you.
Yes.
You can run client-side plugins on on Windows, Pro Windows, or Mac Pro, right? So if you have Pro, you can run the local client plugin there, right? Go generally doesn't run plugins. WebDirect generally doesn't run plugins. If you want plugins for those, it goes on the server. That's where you're going to get into that area that's kind of tricky once again, because it's a security thing. Claris wants to give you all the flexibility, but they don't want someone else's code kind of parked on the server, right?
Yeah, when you are in cloud. So right now, because of, as you said, because of the security reasons, we do not support the plugins. However, if you're running because you can have a pro plugin, server plugin that's not supported, but if you have third-party plugins, and if that third-party is one of the popular plugins that's available through our connectors, you can always use the connector or a custom connector, because those are kind of the microservices.
Someone's asking about, can you, is it Thorsten? Yeah, hey, how's it going? Great question there. Is there, from Royal River, can you show us how to do a direct download of a backup? That's essentially it. I'm in the backups here. I can select the backup, right?
And click on the backup, yeah.
Yep, and then you're going to select this, and it's going to down. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to mess with my network right now because I'm live streaming. But that's how that works.
Yes.
It doesn't. The big change here is it doesn't require you to
restore.
It doesn't require you to actually restore it to live. You're grabbing a backup and dragging it over. It's one of those moments where don't listen. It should have been in there all along, right? Should have been in there, but somehow it wasn't in there. So now it's in there. Okay, great. So we're clear on that. I'm not gonna,
But I wanted to come to the show and talk about it. So
I know. I'm glad. No, it's important that it's there. I mean, to draw out. It's one of those things like. Yes, thank you. We need that. That's really important. So that's a good one. Okay, we got people are going nuts with questions, right? Margaret, we want to.
Next question is good. The next question is one of those hard questions. Hey, an area of concern for me has been the difficulty in setting up a data API call from a website. Any chance you guys are working to simplify it so it works like an on-premise server?
It's the DAPI, right? Because it's kind of a hack, right? I mean, getting DAPI to work, you have to have the keys, and I know that so.
Could you send me that, and let's take a look what exactly you're facing challenge with and how we can help, and if that needs to be fixed or enhanced, we'll definitely put it in the backlog.
Okay, great. So so once again, Margaret, did you have her email? Did you put that in here so we could?
I did. I put it on the person who was asking, and I will repost it.
Just post it generically here to Discord so I can confirm that you got it right and we can give it to everyone. I want to make sure it's correct. Is that your correct, or is it dot? Is it underscore?
No, underscore.
That's correct?
Yes.
Great. That's the email.
Yeah, we use dots.
All right, so I know it's right. So Rosemary has a comment. Quick note on Claris Connect connectors. We recently added a connector backlog to Claris community. Yes. Margaret, if you, so that was a good one. Rosemary is patrolling us, watching us. She wants to make sure we don't do anything too
Cora has a question, which is a bit long, but I'll read it out loud, and then Richard can also show you it on Discord if he has it pulled up, so it's easier to understand.
Yeah, I don't have that on screen right here, Margaret.
I am considering selling a solution to users by giving them licenses to cloud that I purchase as each new client purchases my solution. But I'm worried about doing this because it seems complicated and like a lot could go wrong. I'm also concerned about the difference between yearly license costs and selling a year subscription, and I'm not sure how to make these costs line up. Do you have thoughts about whether this is a good idea and how best to make this happen?
Yeah, it's like an SBA question, right?
Yeah, we do have partners and SBAs that are currently buying, cloud licenses for
Really?
their
I did not know you
customer.
guys were doing SBA with cloud. Okay.
It's partners definitely, but can you send me that question as well and let me work with the sales team and see how we can help you?
So, Cora, if you could write that up and just give her a little bit more,
yeah.
and shoot the email to her on that so she can engage with you directly on that would be great.
Okay, I think that people have. I run Thorson. It sounds like you run a lot of server-side plugin type stuff, which means that
Server-side plugins are not going to be supported right now, so
I might be reading that wrong, but that's he's describing his particular situation.
server-side with SOAP, REST API. Yeah, so at some point, Claris is going to have to make this simpler. I think the integration, the data API is essentially this REST kind of thing. OData, I think, is also, you support that OData in the
cloud?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the question is getting them authenticated. I think once you go through the authentication process and get it going where the keys are handled and managed, then it works, but it's I think Soliant had it kind of figured out, but it's sufficiently complicated that if it takes a top shelf consultancy to, figure it out, then it's a little too complicated. So I think at some point that'll have to be addressed. Sangita has to leave, everyone, but we greatly appreciate her time here. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. If you have any questions about what's going on, I'll flip the button there. If you have any questions, have comments or feedback, you can email Sangita if it's, something about cloud or something you want to get Claris' attention. If you have questions about the show, then shoot me an email to support@rcconsulting.com. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a great sport. She's answered the questions, even the hard questions. It's been great. So, all right, Mario, with that, we're going to, everyone, see you tomorrow.
Have a good one, everybody.